Okay. Some more stuff about this Venus energy and the other spheres in the astral tree, astral plane. So this is some observations that I've noticed. Um, when it comes to dealing with these Venus energies, this type of affection and the more positive emotions, I'm talking about the beneficial side of the tree. Um, something I've noticed is that very often men will um, use like humour as a defence, and it's not always very funny. It's a lot can be sarcastic and but it's something that is very typical for men to do when they're confronted with like kind of niceness, like friendly behaviour, um, and especially like affectionate behaviour, especially from other men. The other alternative is that they could become like gay, and women, on the other hand, will very often see this as somewhat well divert the energy towards sex and sexual tension, rather than reciprocate this affection. They see it as a way that leads to sex, you know, which both of these reactions are like defense mechanisms of people that are like just totally programmed and unable to deal with these Venus energies for some reason. Now, one of the things that I've talked about and is like astral parasites and agents and stuff. The reason people like myself talk about these things is because there doesn't seem to be any other way of explaining people's otherwise completely bizarre behaviour. It doesn't make any real sense, we're just, but everybody does it. Virtually everyone behaves in these ways that just don't make any sense because they're just so incredibly unwilling to, you know, deal with these sort of energies, and there's no real explanation for it. So we come up with explanations like, well, there must be agents taking over people and astral parasites that keep them trapped in these, like the Matrix world. And this also kind of relates to this stuff I was talking about in the other update video for today about getting in touch with your like darker side, your indignation about these people, because the reason that they won't deal with this stuff is because they're aligned with like the demon of ignorance, or an agent, the Matrix. So then there's no place for that. It doesn't serve an obvious purpose, as far as they're concerned. But they know it is about what life is really about, and it's leading up the tree into the good stuff. It's about positive emotions, and because they haven't got any, they allow envy to get in. So they don't want you. That's why like men will use humour as like kind of a defence. I think humour is really important. It's great to have a good sense of humour, but not to more or less only use it as a defence mechanism, like a weapon, so that you don't have to deal with like those positive emotions. Or sex is also an important thing, and I think it's got a great value. But if it's only used as a means of avoiding having to open up to those emotions, and you just allow it, like a woman might allow this sort of those emotions, the affection and stuff, to automatically devolve into sex, and because men are generally undersexed a lot of the time, and they tend to fall for that sort of like maneuver ever so easily because men want sex a lot of the time. So ultimately, that energy stays corrupt and doesn't get used properly. It's and you end up on these really low parts of the tree and the matrix and subconscious and stuff. So then this also kind of relates to actually when I was talking about doing work, real work. It's about having to face up to this sort of stuff and deal with it. You know, and a lot of it will mean cutting off um, your time that you spend with certain types of people because they are unable to deal with this sort of this more positive emotional stuff. And if they see you dealing with it and getting benefit from it, they will sabotage you. You know, because they become agents. You know, there's no other explanation for it. What else? How else do you explain it? I can't explain it. And also, I was thinking about Shiva Nataraja, you know, where he stands on the demon of ignorance. You've got to treat these people as if they're going to align themselves with the demon of ignorance. Then you've got to behave. You've got to become like Shiva. Shiva's like a shaman, you know. He represents awareness and light. People react like this with humour also to things like talking about higher consciousness, doing things like meditation. You know, they just make a joke out of it so they don't have to deal with it. Really, they just hate themselves and they're aligning themselves with the demon of ignorance. It's just there's no excuse for it. They're sinners and then they can't go into have the good stuff. They keep themselves out of it. So, yeah, I think a lot of what I'm also saying here is like you have to keep away from those sorts of people. And okay, I'll just stop this video now.